Hey there, folks. I'm the Content Cop. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Content Cop. Content Cop. Content Top.
What we do here is go back.
Content Cop. It's a popular video series here on YouTube made by the infamous iDubbbz, in which he criticizes and roasts a plethora of YouTubers that he considers to be cancerous content creators, as well as cancerous people overall. While iDubbbz certainly makes exceptional videos and takedown pieces, how effective is Content Cop really in terms of swaying public opinion? And how effective is Content Cop in getting the YouTubers he criticizes to change their ways? I'm going to analyze each major episode of Content Cop and the effects on the people they're about, as well as the viewers who watch them. One of iDubbbz's first targets was Jinx on December 13th, 2015. Jinx was a reaction channel during a time when reaction channels were blowing up in popularity. Before the Content Cop episode, Jinx was gaining a lot of traction on YouTube, reaching around 1.3 million subs, with his videos regularly getting over 1 million views. However, in the Content Cop, iDubbbz pointed out just how original, uncreative, and artificial reaction videos like the ones Jinx produced were. Ultimately, these React 2 videos were stealing other people's content, and they relied on the works of others to have any success of their own. Keep in mind, this was made during a time when React 2 videos were at their peak, but many creators and viewers already held a similar position to iDubbbz, believing that this type of content was stale and uncreative. And so iDubbbz was met with a lot of support and agreement with his Content Cop. Following this wave of backlash against him, Jinx had perhaps his first genuine reaction when he got upset at iDubbbz over the video. According to some people, Jinx wanted to fight iDubbbz and claimed he was hiding behind a computer screen. But when iDubbbz went all the way to Philadelphia to meet Jinx, he was a no-show. After things calmed down a bit, Jinx uploaded reaction videos less frequently, and his last popular video, which got 1.1 million views, was on February 1st, 2016. Since then, he hasn't been uploading much, nor has he been getting anywhere near that many views. Before February 2016, Jinx was getting thousands of daily subscribers, but by April, his daily subs took a huge hit and his channel hasn't grown much since. Nowadays, Jinx is losing hundreds of subscribers daily. It's hard to say whether iDubbbz's video was solely responsible for the death of Jinx's channel, or perhaps Jinx's format just fell out of style, or maybe a combination of both, but that Content Cop was hugely instrumental in affecting Jinx's YouTube career. Ironically, since the continued success of iDubbbz's channel, there have been reaction videos made in response to Content Cop, which end up getting hundreds of thousands of views in some cases. So if you want to watch iDubbbz videos with some obnoxious guy or girl interrupting every second and overhyping everything, these are the videos for you.
What? You might be pleasantly surprised with who this video is actually about. I'll give you a hint. He's very boastful. He's got a video on me. Dinga 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 dinga.
He's boasting what? But Glink, aren't you doing that right now? No, this is an analysis video. It's completely different. Perhaps one of the biggest blunders on YouTube in 2016 was the Fine Bros announcement of their desire to trademark the React video format. Almost every major channel was highly critical of this move, and the Fine Bros understandably became the laughingstock of the internet for a while. iDubbbz decided to throw his hat in the ring as well on February 2nd, 2016. But the truth is, he actually didn't really add much to the already sinking ship that was the Fine Bros. In fact, iDubbbz spent most of his video talking about the movement against the Fine Bros. By that point, everyone already knew why they made a huge mistake, and all the jokes at their expense had already been made. Despite their huge misstep, the Fine Bros did end up eventually recovering, and iDubbbz's video on them wasn't by any means a major blow or huge sway in public opinion, since, as I said, the Fine Bros were already almost universally hated before that Content Cop. In fact, they were losing tens of thousands of subs before iDubbbz ever made a video on them. Similarly to the Fine Bros, Keemstar was an already well-known and widely disliked figure within the YouTube community during the time that iDubbbz made his Content Cop on May 5th, 2016. However, unlike everyone else who had already made countless videos on Keemstar, iDubbbz actually used far more original points of criticism and did a more thorough analysis on Keemstar's personality and character. Most other YouTubers condemned Keemstar over the same overused clips of him saying the N-word or yelling at his fans, even though some of these clips were out of context and many years old. iDubbbz instead pointed out that Keemstar supposedly had sociopathic tendencies. iDubbbz was heavily critical of the fact that Keemstar occasionally brought his opinions onto the news. He was critical of Keemstar's news format in general, claiming it was stale content, and he pointed out many more character flaws such as being egotistical, not thinking before speaking, and more. Although iDubbbz did do a pretty thorough piece on Keemstar, again, he didn't really sway too much of public opinion since people already sort of hated Keemstar to begin with. Amazingly though, despite months of endless hate and backlash, plus this Content Cop, Keemstar not only survived, but ended up thriving. He's now at over 2 million subscribers, whereas he was at 1.3 million back then. It seems like Keemstar, unlike most others on this list, managed to capitalize off all the hatred and ultimately rise above all the negative press. After Keemstar, iDubbbz set his sights on a completely different kind of channel with How to Prank It Up, aka Dennis Rohde, on August 12th, 2016. As his name implies, How to Prank It Up built a hugely successful channel based on teaching people how to do pranks. But one of iDubbbz's main criticisms of Dennis was that his pranks were neither very effective nor practical to do, and they were often very time-consuming. iDubbbz also pointed out how Dennis would almost always prank his friends, and even then, many of these pranks wouldn't even work. After illustrating all of this with a plethora of examples from Dennis's own channel, it became clear to most viewers that How to Prank It Up was merely appealing to the lowest common denominator. In this case, the Content Cop seemed incredibly effective at curbing the opinion of Dennis's would-be viewers. Prior to iDubbbz's video on August 7th, 2016, Dennis had 3 channels. His main one with 3.2 million subscribers, a second channel with 1.1 million, and a third channel with 210,000. At the time, he was also gaining thousands of subs per day, but less than 2 months after the Content Cop, his daily sub count plummeted. As of today, Dennis's channel growth has largely stagnated at 3.5 million subs on his main channel, with hundreds of people unsubscribing every day, and his alternate channels are seeing a similar level of stagnation and inactivity. By far, the most popular Content Cop was on Leafy. God rest his soul. Now, I have already made an entire video about Leafy and his downfall, the reason for his declining subs and viewers, and a huge part of that I did attribute to iDubbbz's Content Cop. So I'm not going to go super in-depth with that here, but yeah, the Content Cop iDubbbz made on Leafy was a huge blow not only to Leafy's numbers, but also his credibility and fan base, many of which I suspect have moved on to become iDubbbz fans. All of this was due to the fact that prior to iDubbbz's Content Cop, Leafy had worked for years to build a massive channel based on bullying other people on the internet, making fun of things, and just talking about whatever came to his mind. So when iDubbbz used Leafy's own tactics against him, it was super effective. Leafy's response was considered by most to be pretty weak, although it was enough to warrant a further retort from iDubbbz, which he called Content Deputy. After this whole debacle, Leafy did lose tens of thousands of subs, and his view counts on videos were also a fraction of what they were before. However, as of October 2017, Leafy actually has for the first time been gaining subscribers and getting a bit of traction. So all it takes is about a year to recover from a Content Cop, apparently. Of all the Content Cops, Tana Mongeau seems to be the most out of place. And indeed, it doesn't seem like iDubbbz would have made a video on her had it not been for that scathing tweet in which she told iDubbbz to kill himself over using the dreaded N-word and R-word, which are apparently off limits. After this, iDubbbz drove all the way to a meet and greet with Tana and her fans in San Francisco, which of course ended with the infamous clip of iDubbbz saying the one word she called him out for. On February 6th, 2017, iDubbbz ingeniously used this to set up his Content Cop video on Tana, in which he explained how her content is incredibly over-exaggerated, how she herself has used the N-word arguably in a much more hateful context, and iDubbbz actually used his platform to actually make a more nuanced point about racial slurs, racial humor, and the arbitrary power we ascribe to words. The fallout from this Content Cop actually wasn't too severe for Tana at all, and I suspect this was due to the fact that her core audience and demographic is largely consisting of 12-year-old girls, whereas iDubbbz reaches a completely different demographic of 12-year-old boys. There's nothing major to report on in terms of Tana's sub count and numbers. She did see a slight decline after the Content Cop, but quickly recovered and rebounded. And another reason why she might not have been too affected is that she put out a series of videos responding to iDubbbz, and one of which was actually an apology, which was a very smart move on her part because she's now water under the bridge in the eyes of most of iDubbbz's fans. For now, anyways. As of this recording, the latest Content Cop was on RiceGum on October 3rd, 2017. Now, if you're watching this video, you've probably already seen that Content Cop and already know the points that were made, but in brief, iDubbbz criticized RiceGum for flexing constantly with money, that RiceGum is not above any criticism and he has done shitty things in the past, how RiceGum has constantly lied to people, how he's unknowingly recorded people and is just kind of this huge douchebag in general. In this case, RiceGum responded rather quickly since, after all, he was the one who openly asked to have a Content Cop made on him, because he knew it would start a feud that would ultimately get him more views and more money. And what is the one thing that RiceGum is obsessed with that iDubbbz pointed out over and over? Money and fame. RiceGum did lose a few thousand subs for a few days after the Content Cop came out, but he's since quickly rebounded and recovered. The real winner in all of this, though, is iDubbbz. And I don't just mean with this RiceGum situation. I just mean with Content Cop in general. This series has been by far the most successful video series on iDubbbz's channel, and it's hugely responsible for his immense growth. For example, just since the Content Cop on RiceGum, about 10 days later, iDubbbz already gained 600,000 subscribers in just 10 days, which is unreal. Over the years, iDubbbz and Content Cop have become a huge game changer here on YouTube. You can directly see the impact Content Cop has on swaying the popular opinion of even the most well-established and admired channels on YouTube. And of course, Content Cop is always a pleasure to watch. Unless, of course, you're the one being targeted. So the question is, who's next?
NEDM